Julia and a guy sitting in a tree. Kissing.
Hello. Welcome back to And Then We Kissed, the podcast on the funny, the confusing, and the unforgettable stories behind my kiss list. I am Julia, and I'm sat here today with my best friend Katja.
Hello, Julia. Hello, everyone listening. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm really excited that you're here, actually. It feels appropriate that you're finally here.
Yes, finally.
You guys have never heard her voice before. She is the first guest host, if you will, on the pod. She's only here for one episode this season, but remember her voice. She'll be back in further seasons.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Katja has actually been a friend of mine since growing up. We met each other in school. We've grown up together. We've seen each other evolve into the woman that we are today. We've been there by each other's sides during bad times, good times. She's my judgment-free zone, and that's why I think it's appropriate that she's here today. So you might have actually already guessed, today is a very different episode than usual. So far, you've heard 4 stories about guys that I've kissed and my thoughts on them and my experiences with them. But this podcast is also a shared space in which I want to break down any topic really that us women encounter in our dating life when we date men. And so welcome to the very first segment that I like to call Real Talk. And today we're talking about the fact that we hate condoms.
We do hate them, but they're so necessary.
They're the necessary evil, and we want to really share our thoughts on how to make it work, even if you don't want to use them. But before we actually delve into that topic, 2 very important questions for Katja. Just real quick. First question, have we kissed?
We have kissed, yes.
We have kissed, but it's a story for another time.
It's a story for another episode, yeah.
And then second question, most important question, Katja, what are you drinking today? What's your fun little drink?
Today I have a nice sparkling water, lemon flavored. It's a pretty Katja coated drink because there's no sugar and no nothing in it. It's just water with lemon and I love it.
And we love that for you.
Yes.
I actually have this alcohol-free spritz. I saw it in the supermarket today and I thought, why not?
It looks so awesome, especially with a little straw in it, with a little butterfly on top.
We're very
so
happy.
Cute.
Cheers!
Cheers!
To condoms.
To condoms.
Okay, now that we have the important stuff out of the way, very quick disclaimer as always, but a very different one as usually. This is not going to be an episode about why you should use condoms. Just do your own research and figure out in which scenarios condoms are for you non-negotiable. This will be a space to really talk about how to navigate boundaries and shame and the mental load that comes with it when you do want to use it. How you can step up as a woman and take responsibility for yourself in a world where men just don't do it for you. And as a side note, this is not medical advice, and we will be talking about situations in which people have tried to convince me to do things that I didn't want to do. So just as a heads up, if you feel uncomfortable with that, no worries. Join us back in 2 weeks where we will be talking about something very different. But if you're still here with us, let's jump right into it. So I think that it's time that we stop pretending. I fucking hate condoms.
We all hate condoms. It's okay to hate them, but it's also okay to still use them.
I think that's like the vital point. The reason why I really wanted to talk about this is that a lot of the times when I'm on Reddit or on Instagram, TikTok, wherever, I see a lot of young women, but also women in our age, where they're kind of like, oh, well, I would really like to use condoms for whatever reason, but my boyfriend feels like it doesn't feel as good. And I really want to say, I don't know anyone that is using condoms because it feels better.
There are condoms with these little studs on them.
Oh, the like little knobbed ones?
Yes,
yeah.
They can feel nice. They can feel like a little something extra when you're having sex.
Yeah.
But it's just okay, if you have to use a condom, then at least use something that feels good.
I mean, I do know women that don't necessarily mind, or they like that it's less cleanup for them. That I completely understand.
Totally.
But most of us, and I really want to bring this point home, most of us don't use condoms because we like the feeling of it.
No.
That's not the reason why we're using condoms, and this is specifically what we're talking about today. I want to talk to you guys about why we hate them, how I actually used to ignore my own boundaries on this and how that changed. I want to talk about the shame that comes with it when you want to stick up for yourself and use them, the gender dynamics that's all wrapped into it, and at the end we're going to talk about how you can actually make this work for yourself. We encounter a lot of men that don't want to take responsibility for us women.
Yes.
And it's important that us women learn how to take responsibility for ourselves.
Because no one's going to do it for you.
No one's going to do it for you. So sit down, get a fun little drink and let's finally talk about this. First things first, personal confession, and I hope that you guys don't judge me for it. I used to sleep around without using condoms. Bad, boo. Looking back, I'm really grateful that nothing happened. Also, mind you, dear parents, if you're listening, I'm really sorry.
I surely don't judge you because I did the same thing, and I think a lot of women did the same thing.
Like when you're younger.
Like especially when you're younger. Also, especially when you're dating older men that try to manipulate you and convince you, oh my God, it's not that necessary. Especially when you're on the pill.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then they say, you also think like, oh, I can't get pregnant, so it's fine.
I used to be in a lot of situations where I wanted to please the man. You grow up thinking in this world that what's really important is that the man really likes you and that he validates you. And so when you finally get that male validation, especially when you're so insecure that you think that you can't really get another man, you want to do anything to keep that man. I've also encountered a lot of men that don't necessarily actually want to have that talk if they want to use condoms or not. They leave it to the very last second, and if you don't really say anything, they will just assume that you guys are not using condoms. Now, obviously, we are generalizing. Not every man wants to leave the condom away, and there are a lot of women that want to leave the condom away as well. And I think at the end of the day, it's a personal choice everyone has to make for themselves. It's just, if you are someone that wants to use a condom in that situation, it can be really difficult to navigate as a young woman. How do you figure that out? I used to struggle with that. I wanted to people please. I wanted to make them happy. Oh, it doesn't feel as good. Oh, I can't come from it. Oh, the condom, it doesn't feel as we're that intimate.
I think we've all been there.
Don't you trust me? Don't you trust that I have no STIs? It's not about trust. I always knew that condoms were somewhat necessary and that I should use them. I didn't. It's the wanting to be cool, wanting to be chill.
Especially for women, not taking up too much space, not being a burden, just be easy and chill, as you said.
Yes.
So that's why you're not using a condom.
Because he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to cause a scene. You don't want to create an uncomfortable conversation.
Exactly.
I think there might have been a scare once or twice where after I slept with a guy, he kind of turned out to be quite an asshole. And suddenly all of that trust that I felt towards him was gone. And so I kind of thought, you know what? I should actually get tested. And so I did occasionally get tested, at least that. Luckily nothing popped up and I was safe, but it happened once or twice, and it got to a point where I was like, this just needs to stop. There can be risk, there can be consequences with it. And it really hit me one day. Maybe that's part of growing up, where you're kind of like, oh, I could die. But
it's just the frontal lobe developing, like, oh my God, I should take care of myself.
Why am I doing this to myself? What is happening? Because, I mean, self-protection is self-respect, right? Like, you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And just because he seems nice in the moment, just because you trust him in the moment, that's not a good reason. There needs to be more evidence to really leave the condom away.
And also just because you had one or two dates, you don't know that person. That person is still a stranger. You don't know if you can trust them or not.
It feels so deceiving when the hormones start surging and you feel so connected. It can really feel deceiving if you know them or not.
Like, also you get that dopamine rush from the beginning, and you have these heart-shaped glasses on, and you're like, oh my God, no, that person is perfect. Everything's perfect. We don't need that.
Also, we keep talking about this thing of like, I can trust him, I can leave the condom away, which is an interesting thought process, because at the end of the day, there is a high chance that he might not even know that he has something. It's not that we're necessarily saying there are people that are walking around, there are men that are walking around that are like, oh, I actually have STIs, but I don't care and I'm gonna infect her. That's not what we're necessarily saying.
Not how it works.
It's more about maybe he doesn't know. I've actually read, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've read that sometimes it's more common in men to have STIs and not show symptoms. And so they can kind of infect you, but they don't necessarily know that they have them because they don't get tested. And so I also started rethinking my thought process, that it's not about the fact if I trust the man or not. It's about that I don't have enough data to actually make an informed decision if I can leave it be with a condom or not, even if I want to.
And also to just accept that you can't know it, to be safe.
It's like the smaller evil, if you will, the lesser evil. Another reason why I used to not use condoms as much as I should have is because, I mean, it's exactly what I said in the beginning. I didn't like the feeling of it. I didn't want to take up space, yes, but I also just didn't like the feeling. Sex without a condom can feel a lot more intimate if there is no condom involved.
Totally. It's like there's
skin to skin.
Yes, skin to skin. That's like a total different feeling. The emotional emotional connection and the head space I'm in. And that was like totally different if there's no texture in between you.
There's no barrier. Still, it feels hotter. You know what I mean?
More sensual.
Almost like it's generating heat. It's really interesting. Oh, and actually, really important thing that I don't think a lot of people actually talk about. I didn't really notice that this was something that was important to me until like a couple of years ago. I really like those moments when you're making out with someone. He kind of just slips in. It's not that actual question of are we gonna have sex or not, and all of this is happening in a consensual context. That's really important, but the trust is evolved that you guys are making out and then he kind of slips in, or you're on top and you slip in. Well, you let him slip in. If you're not using condoms, that's really easy. It kind of just flows from making out into having sex. It's a lot more free flowing, and I always felt like with condoms it kind of broke it off. Then there was this like 30-second awkward thing of where are the condoms, how do I put this on, who's putting on the condom, all of that. I didn't actually feel that comfortable using condoms until a friend of mine sat me down and explained how you can make that work.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and we're going to talk about that in the end. Okay, we've talked about why we hate condoms, and I think it's really important just to bring home the fact why we're using condoms. It's a lesser evil.
Yes.
It's risk management.
Definitely risk management.
It's better than getting pregnant. It's better than getting an STI.
Yeah.
And it's better than not having sex. I would rather have sex with a condom than no sex.
Then no sex and then a child.
Oh my god.
Totally. Like if I have to decide between a condom and a child, I'll take the condom.
Or an STI.
Or an STI.
And that is why, in short, we're using condoms. So the thing is with all of this, when you want to use condoms, there is a certain sense of shame or discomfort that comes with it when you're in a very new situationship with a person that you don't know, and suddenly you need to have this conversation. Sex talk can already be so difficult.
Especially for Germans.
And then having a talk about something that feels so unsexy, like contraception, can also feel really uncomfortable, especially if you don't know how the other person is going to react and you don't want to take up that space. I think that you can feel high maintenance. You can feel like you're paranoid. Again, that like thing of like, don't you trust me? I think that a lot of the shame actually comes from the fact that a lot of people like to think that when you have an STI or so, that you're dirty. And I think that in the American way of speaking, I've seen it on social media a couple of times, that people like to say, oh, I'm clean, when they're saying that they don't have an STI.
Yes.
I think that that's a terrible way to describe it. You're not dirty or clean. It has nothing to do with hygiene or whatever.
It has also nothing to do with being a whore or having too much sex, because you just have to have one bad encounter.
Yes.
And you have an STI.
One bad luck. And it can happen.
Yeah.
Even if both of you have never had sex or whatever, the risk is still there. So I think that's also where that shame feeling comes from, that it can feel like you're implying to the other person that they might be dirty. I do understand the fear of the emotional backlash. Let's face it, men can be quite emotional.
It's also a really emotional topic because it's intimacy and it's sex. But I think where we have to get to is that it's just a talk about a topic like every other talk.
I think it's understandable if you have a lot of emotions regarding this talk, but I think we need to start expecting from people that we're talking to that they should be able to manage their emotions. You can have your emotions wrapped into this topic and you can still have a neutral discussion about it.
Yes.
This is how I like to manage my risk. This is how much risk I am comfortable dealing with. This is how I want to deal with this. I want to use condoms. I want to do this, whatever. And I mean, of course, there's a much more detailed conversation to be had than just saying I want to use condoms or not. In what scenarios do you want to use condoms? Is it important to you to use it during oral sex? Is it important to you to use during only penis and vagina sex? All of that, because you need to do your own research. You need to figure it out. There's also the much necessary to talk about contraception. All of this should be neutral topics.
And in the end, it's also okay to have that talk and then you realize, oh, it doesn't match.
Yeah, you're not compatible.
Yeah, if you come to a point where you're like, oh, okay, we doesn't match, our risk management is totally different from each other and we like different things, then to just say, okay, we don't match, let's not have sex. Or let's end this let's end this here.
And it can be quite difficult to do that in that moment. You're horny, you're attracted to them, you want to have sex with them. But I do think that the way you want to handle the risk is one of the key characters that you should consider when you want to see if they're compatible or not. I think that the main requirement for me when having a partner is not necessarily that they want to use condoms in the exact same way that I want to. Usually there's one person that manages risks in a stricter way, let's say, and then there's one person that's a bit more lax about it. And I think the important part is that the person who's more strict, that's the way that you guys then do it.
Yes.
Or else you're not having sex.
No.
And this also applies when I am not the stricter person. If I am sleeping with someone that is stricter than myself, I am either generally not going to sleep with them, or I will adapt to their needs. But I will not make them feel unsafe so we can have sex. I don't care what kind of relationship you have to this man. A man should never want that from you.
No, that's one of the biggest red flags. Because like in everything, if you don't want to go to a place, if you don't want to do a certain activity and someone forces you to do it, not like talk about it and then see, oh, what's the issue? Maybe how can I cancel that issue out?
Yeah.
It's just like he wants to make you do something you don't want to.
Yes.
Never a good thing.
And I think that there are techniques that people use to really get what they want. And these techniques that I have encountered are things like whining. It's crying around. It's saying, oh, but it doesn't feel so good.
It's asking over and over again and not taking no for an answer.
And if he starts doing that, shut him out. You guys are not compatible.
And it's really difficult, especially if this is like the first time you're trying to do it. It's really difficult to see and notice these signs.
There are two scenarios that this can play out. Let's say I want to have sex with a man and he would like to use condoms for oral sex and for penis and vagina sex, but I am okay with only using it for penis and vagina sex, and then during oral sex I don't really care. I'm okay with the risk there. Let's say that's a scenario. So I could approach him and I can have a respectful conversation with him where I can be like, talk to me about your worries. Talk to me about what you know. Maybe you know something that I don't. Maybe I know something you don't. But the basis of this entire thing is that at the end of the conversation, if you still want to use condoms when we have oral sex, that's okay.
Totally fine.
That's okay. You don't need to change your mind. I am not trying to change your mind. I'm trying to have a conversation about this to understand each other better. Maybe you will change your mind, but that's not the point of the conversation. But there's another way to have this conversation as well. And this is the massive red flag where really any gender, any person should run from. You are not safe with that person. And that is, oh, but it doesn't feel so good. If the entire conversation feels unnecessarily emotional.
Like this person wants this conversation to have a specific outcome.
Yeah.
The other person pushes you to that specific outcome.
And it feels unnecessarily emotional. They're not necessarily listening to the rational things that you're saying. They're not necessarily interested in your safety, in your sense of safety and security. As soon as they don't seem interested in what you want, as soon as it's not a conversation, a dialogue, but a monologue of how bad it feels without condoms, pack your things, put your clothes on and get out of that flat.
And I know it can be hard, but in the end you will think yourself,
much rather masturbate than have sex with that guy.
Yes.
Because chances are high that in the beginning the sex will be amazing and then at some point he will just simply not care for you.
But like in this specific point I don't care for your comfort, but everywhere else I want you to feel as comfortable as possible.
And I think that this is really something that you can expect and you should expect from men. That they have a conversation with you where the way you feel is at the utmost priority. Again, if they then don't want to have sex with you,
totally fine.
That's okay.
That's okay.
They get to say no as well. The point is that they're not trying to force you to have sex in a way that you don't want to. That's the really important point. And I think at this point, it's also a really interesting topic to consider gender dynamics when we're talking about condoms. I generally feel like more women are keenly aware of the safety aspect and want to use condoms more often than men. But I don't know if that's also just my perception. Who knows if that's true or not, but what I do know is that pretty much every female friend that I have has encountered at least one guy that they slept with or wanted to sleep with that was really weird about using condoms. And this is, I think, the interesting part. There are so many things to consider. Who pays for condoms? Who organizes the condoms? Who gets them? Who provides them? Who starts talking about the fact if you're using condoms or not, I feel like there is a mental load that us women carry when it comes to contraception. And it's not just about making sure that you're not gonna have a child when you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's also about making sure that you don't catch an STI. I think that the mental load should be shared, and I think this is something that you can expect of a sexual partner. I don't care about the context. He should start that topic as well. I've had good sexual partners that started the topic either on the dating app or on the first date. I don't really care when, but he did start that topic at some point or another.
As you say, it should be shared mental load, and he should also be aware of that topic and mentally prepare for that topic.
I think that the important part to really look out for is not he doesn't really want to use condoms and that's why he didn't really start the conversation. I think that's also a bad idea. I think you got the wrong end of the stick that way. I think that even if you're really lax in that way, you should still start the conversation because you care for the other person.
It's also not like they wouldn't know about it because we all have sexual education at school.
I think you can expect that from a man in scenarios where for whatever reason the man still doesn't really actually start having that conversation with you. Start the conversation yourself. If you don't want to start the conversation, I think that there are also non-verbal ways that you can make sure that whatever you want will happen.
Just put a condom in his face.
That's kind of what I meant, but not in an aggressive way. So what I'm
Always
thinking,
be aggressive against men. No, that's a joke.
Is it though?
For legal reasons, this was a joke.
But I do think that So while I do think when you have a recurring sexual partner, I think they should get the condoms and they should pay for them. But I will say also, I'm someone that also uses another method of contraception. And so because I pay for that and I endure the consequences of that, you know, the hormonal things, I personally think that he might as well figure out the second way. If you're a woman who doesn't use another form of contraception but only uses condoms, I think there's a discussion to be had if you kind of share the cost or whatever. But I think the mental load of providing the condoms and paying for them, that should be the man. The only exception that I make for that is when it's that first time and the guy feels like it would be rude to bring condoms because then it feels like he's assuming that you guys are going to have sex. And so he doesn't have condoms, or he really just thought you guys were not going to have sex.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't bring condoms. And then I always have condoms with me just in case. But that's kind of one of the only situations where I'm okay with it. But other than that, bring condoms. And also, and this is such an important thing, we've talked so much about men that like to say, oh, it doesn't feel good and I can't come from them and whatever. Please consider if this man has actually really tried problem solving. Because if the only solution that he has considered is he tried one pack of condoms from the gas station, that really didn't work well, and now his only solution to the entire matter is not using condoms ever again, baby boy, crack open a book,
Really?
go on the internet, research the shit out of this, ask on Reddit, try out different sizes, try out different brands, try the fuck out. And also, if all of that still doesn't work and you're saying, oh, I can't come from condoms, have you considered coming outside of penis and vagina sex?
Sex is not just about how fast can you come and to come in general.
Yes.
It's about like the connection of two people. And yes, I don't say orgasms aren't nice. We all love to have a good orgasm. But if you're just about the orgasm, then just do it yourself.
Oh my
like just
God.
masturbate.
Yes.
Because you're here with another person because you like the connection, the intimacy. The intimacy with that other person. And if that means that you can't come from one specific part of sex,
yeah,
so be it. You can also talk about it. If you say, okay, I can't come from condoms, then don't just say, okay, then no, don't use them. Say, okay, but how can we make sure we're all happy, we all can come? Use your hands on him or your mouth, or he
Yes.
does it himself.
or
Or
you're cheering him on the sideline.
go sports, go team. But yeah, that's just one kind of small part of sex, but also kind of it's a big part in terms of intimacy and getting close to each other, but also a
Yes.
small part because there are so many
Layers.
facets
Yeah.
of sex.
Nuances and
Yeah.
everything. I think that's a really, really good point.
And also to the other thing you said before, like who should pay for condoms, the first thing that always comes to my mind is the gender pay gap.
Oh my God, yeah.
And men have it so much better in this society. Men in general.
In general.
Not every man has it better than every woman.
Yeah.
But men in general have so many
privileges
this society. And then you can buy a pack of condoms. It's not that expensive.
It's not going to break the bank.
No. And if it does, you can have a talk about it. And I think that also defines how it goes when I have a date with someone.
Yeah.
The fact how he talks about it. Because if he's open, like, okay, I would use condoms, but financially, it's really like he's not as secure financially. And buying a pack of condoms is really the thing.
Yeah.
You can talk about it. Maybe you split like the expenses.
The cost and everything.
Or maybe you say, okay, then I'm going to buy it because maybe I have more money than him.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. But it's always how he talks about it.
That's a really good point. It's when you're having that conversation, is he interested in your comfort at the end of the day? There's always compromises to be found with anything. And that's also incredibly important when you're interested in any sort of connection with another human being. Compromises are valuable and they really do further that connection. But it needs to be important that your comfort is important to him as well, that he prioritizes that as well.
Yes.
I think that you made a good point. It's not that he necessarily has to always pay.
Yes.
For me, it's more of a symbol than anything else. It's that symbol that it's not just my responsibility.
Yes.
Because I'm not interested in being the manager of us having sex.
No.
There are other ways to also symbolize that he is very aware and taking on his share of the responsibility.
And I can't really get my head around that men don't understand how fucking sexy it is. If you're intimate and he takes out a condom without you having to ask it, then you can have that conversation. Maybe you say, oh, you don't have to use it. Okay, that's how you want to handle that. That's okay. But how sexy is it if he's prepared?
Yeah.
If he thinks about it in advance?
Holy hell.
If he takes care of stuff and if he thinks about your safety and everyone's safety and then he just pops out a condom.
It's so hot.
I love it.
I've said this before in another episode. There was a man once that I slept with that not only came prepared with condoms, but he also had a tiny box that was perfect for condoms.
Damn.
Like the condoms fit in perfectly. So it was like a box made to store condoms safely. 4 condoms fit in there perfectly. Wow. Was that hot.
Wow.
And mind you, if him being prepared just means before you go home together, he says, listen, I don't have any condoms, do you? If not, let's go buy some.
Totally.
That's also fine.
Just talking about it because as you said,
mental load,
period. We as women, we're so used to taking care of stuff and being prepared and thinking for everyone.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just gives you the feeling that he shows you, hey, I thought of that before.
Yeah.
I got some mental
So
work
hot.
done.
One might say bare minimum, and it's slightly sad that we think it's so hot, but oh well, this is the world we live in.
How can you blame us in this society?
How can you blame us?
Totally.
At the end of the day, we are just girls who get incredibly wet at the thought when a guy says, hey, I have a condom.
And I think the future goal should be to normalize it.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's okay to praise that because, it's something different. It's something that not everyone does.
Yes.
And that's not normalized. And we want to
Yes.
get there. But for the moment, let's just praise it because
For
it's
the
fucking
moment,
hot.
let's just enjoy it when it does
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
When he doesn't throw a tantrum, when he actually tries to problem solve. At the end of the day, it really is just how does he handle the conversation?
Period.
How does he handle whatever problems he has? Speaking of problems and how to handle them, one of the last topics that we have on
Finally.
this episode. And this is one of the reasons why Katja's actually on this episode. I want to talk about how to make it work when you want to use a condom. Not necessarily how to breach that conversation. We've talked about that. It's more so we all have things that we dislike about condoms, and how do you make using them sexy? Now, most of my experiences with condoms have actually been in casual encounters. In relationships, I have so far done either when I was young and stupid, just whatever, it works, just stop using condoms, or I've done the get tested and then leave them be. So I've never really had a really long-term recurring sex partner with whom I use condoms a lot. And this is where the interesting part actually comes in. I think the interesting perspective. Katja's in a long-term relationship, and for the better part of that relationship, they use condoms. And I think that intimacy is just different, so she has a different perspective to it. Actually, let's start right with like my biggest pet peeve of it, and that is the flowing state of making out and then just sliding it in. How did you guys figure that out?
I think, first of all, what helped us is to have condoms everywhere.
Oh.
And I mean, everywhere. You don't just have one place where you store the condoms.
Yeah.
And then you have to run to that place, maybe through the whole flat, get them, then get back. It takes a lot of time. Just store condoms everywhere that they're easy to reach. And I really mean everywhere. When you're in the bathroom, have 4 spots where you have condoms.
I am blown away right now. That is so genius.
Because just they are always in reach. You can just reach them.
Grab them.
Then it's a 10-second thing, like open them, light them on. Perfect.
And that makes that pause moment a lot shorter. That's such a good idea. That's such a good idea.
I
need to hide for condoms now next time when I'm in your flat. I want to see where you store them.
The only bad thing about this is when you have like maybe your parents over, then you just need to think about hiding them better, because don't need them to see my condoms. Yeah. And then you can also make the putting on the condom part more sexy, like when you're really comfortable with your partner. And I know that's not from the beginning, but the more you're having sex, like just maybe you put it on for him. Just make it a really sensual experience. Make that part of it.
Oh. I'm learning so much.
In the beginning, you really have to know how he does it. You have to talk why you're doing it.
Yeah, so the beginning is unsexy.
Yeah, the beginning is unsexy. But once you know how to do it on him,
it can get sexy.
It can get so sexy.
That's actually such a
good
point.
Because in that moment, you're touching his penis.
Make it a part of foreplay. Make it a part of like building up that intimacy between you.
And also, and the third thing, what I learned to do, like what I started to do, when he puts on the condom, like there's like 5 to 10 seconds. Just focus on yourself and feel yourself. Maybe just move in a really sexy way for him to just look at you while he puts it on. Kind of ignore what's happening at the moment with the condom. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like it's just the side part.
Yeah.
And just focus on you looking at his body, he looking at your body. You're just moving like really sexy.
You could also like touch his shoulders.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Like just sometimes you just have to ignore things because they're there. As you said, we hate condoms, but they're necessary. Okay, but let's make the part of putting on the condom as small as possible.
And you can keep it sexy by making it sexy in that moment. Of course, the slipping in part still moves away a little. Okay, so this is actually the tip that my friend had for me, which really was a massive game changer for me. I will say I still haven't tried it out yet because it feels a little awkward making that suggestion. I need to get over myself and just make that suggestion, I will say. But I haven't tried it out yet. But she gave me this tip. She said, if you want to have that feeling of you're making out and he like accidentally slips in and then you're having sex, make out, then decide you're gonna have sex. He puts on the condom. Don't put it on and then go in, but just continue making out, and then he can like accidentally slide in.
Like it's just like use seconds. Like he puts it on, and then you're making out just like 5 to 10 seconds, and then he slips in. It's not like it's on. Okay, now let's go in.
I think that's what makes it feel so mechanical.
Yeah,
feels so
planned,
so not intimate. Like it's a barricade.
Yeah,
it feels too rational. Almost. Are there any other things that we hate about condoms?
I think it's also that it makes it so fucking serious. Like the sex becomes like so serious because now there's this part of protection involved and it's not as sensual anymore.
It feels adult.
Sex in general, just make it more fun, laugh more. It's not that serious. It's just two people having fun together. If something with the condom doesn't work, maybe it takes much longer than you thought putting it on, just laugh about it. I think that's one of the most important things you should be able to laugh about.
And talk about it to each other.
Yeah, laugh during sex.
And also, of course, there are ways of, keeping it still fun by, for example, trying out new condoms. Trying out different flavors. Of course, I've never found a flavorful condom that I actually thought tasted good. But then
you always taste rubber.
Laugh about the fact that they all fucking suck.
Yeah.
Actually, so I've heard on Reddit recently that there are condoms made without latex that then, who would have thought, don't taste of latex. And I think I would like to try those at one point. But yeah, so try the colors, try whatnot, or just don't try anything and just keep it fun in other ways. There are, in terms of sensation, I think that really depends on the brand and if they're thinner or not. You could use like condoms that are thinner. You could try those different brands. Figure out the brand that you feel most comfortable with.
It's just like with everything in sex. Just explore together. Have fun exploring.
With anything in life. You need to figure out, like there are a lot of different ways of doing it. And you need to figure out how you can make it work.
Changing your mindset, because we get this picture from society that condoms are so uncomfortable and they're a big deal. Unsexy. Just start thinking about it as more sexy, because your mind shapes you're thinking, how you think about things.
Good point. Also, lube. Lube is completely fine to use. I don't think that you necessarily use a lot of lube. I know,
but yeah.
I like to use lube.
Yeah.
Just make sure that it's lube that works with condoms. I used to not actually know this when I was a lot younger, but I think that it's like the oil-based ones that will actually attack the latex, and so you should use
water-based ones.
Water-based or silicone-based, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on this. Research again, but just make sure that the lube that you're using works with the condoms that you're using. But at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing to use lube.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I personally think condoms with the additional barrier, it can feel a lot more dry. Smear lube everywhere. Make it as wet as you want.
It's again, as we said over and over again, just have a conversation. Talk about it. Talk about everything. And explore.
And have fun.
And also be okay with if something doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the other person. If a specific condom, a specific lube, a specific position, anything doesn't work, it's just, okay, now you know it. Try something else.
If you take the pressure out of it, that's actually a good point.
And also just incorporate it in your monthly, weekly, I don't know, budget planning, that it doesn't feel like an expense out of your planning.
Make it a financial priority that you plan ahead for.
In the beginning, he bought it always because he earns more money than I do, and he's the man, and it just seemed fair. But as the relationship went on, we noticed both want to have sex, we both want to be safe. Let's just make it equal and just pay that from the shared bank account.
I will say I still don't think that if I'm in a casual encounter I want to take care of it. I think if I were to be in a partnership I would share it for sure, but that being said, then I would want to share the expense for the hormonal one as well. So you know, it evens out. But yeah, I think those are really good tips. And I think that if you have issues, if you feel uncomfortable using condoms pinpointed, you know, try and be in the moment and really think about it afterwards. Like, okay, what exact part didn't I like? And then go to Reddit and then just see if other people have the same issue as you. You can either post a post and ask other people, or you can also just search on it on Reddit, because chances are high that other people have that same issue as you, and the collective always comes together to figure out solutions. Google it, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, go on YouTube.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
Never.
Other people have those issues as well.
You have no unique experiences.
We are a collective. We are a group. We are a lot more similar than all of us think.
Yeah, and we should talk much more about especially stuff like that.
And if you feel uncomfortable talking about this with your close peers, go online.
And I think that's also the really important and really nice part about this podcast, because we are talking about it. Maybe there's one person out there that thinks, oh my god, I'm not alone.
That would be really nice. I just want to normalize all of this. I think actually that was a really good talk. Usually at this point we talk about red flags, about the guy that I encountered. That's not to be had here. We could do a very quick kiss, marry, kill condoms. Marry them.
Marry them. Totally.
Marry them.
There's stability in your life that you sometimes hate, sometimes love.
Typical marriage.
You have your problems, but you work them out, and in the end, it's good for you.
That was so good. Guys, this was us talking about how much we hate condoms but still make it work. To all of the men out there, make it work.
Make it work. Make it work. Make the effort. Just do the mental work.
But most importantly, to all of the women, you can expect from him that he makes it work for your comfort. You should expect that from him.
From an adult.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
This was amazing.
It was so nice to talk about that.
I'm really happy that you were on here. Guys, if you had fun listening to us, I hope that you're already following along on the socials. If not, please do. They're linked in the description box, I think. Comment if you love or hate condoms, and if you hate them, you are not alone for sure. Meet me back here in 2 weeks, where I'm actually going to talk about a guy. Well, let's just say that entire story felt very much like a movie. Sophie will be back for that one. And until then, go find someone that you want to have sex with, use a condom, and report back with the details. Yeah, have fun. Bye.
Bye.